Welcome to ALF's 35th anniversary and 2023 Exemplary Leadership Awards, celebrating exceptional leaders and cross-sector networks in Silicon Valley. To kick off our program, please welcome to the stage a member of ALF's 35th Anniversary Committee and Senior Fellow of Class 21, Chike Nwoffiah.
Hello. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. Thank you. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Keep eating, but keep listening. Good evening, Senior Fellows, and friends. Welcome to tonight. I'm delighted to kick off the festivities this evening. My name is Chike Nwoffiah. I am the founding director of the Silicon Valley African Film Festival. I am also a proud Senior Fellow class, best class 21. Come on. And yes, we are proud classmates of our dear friend, Chris Wilder. Yes. And Chris, my friend, I can't wait to see you come on stage tonight, later in this program. We love you dearly. And we can't wait to celebrate your work. And that of the other John W. Gardner Award recipient from Class 17, Kathleen King. I've been informed that Class 17 took the liberty to call themselves the good-looking class. And unfortunately for them, they're sitting close to Class 21, so. But ladies and gentlemen, tonight also we will celebrate the efforts of an incredible cross-sector network of leaders who became COVID-19 Black Network. A health initiative to educate the African American and African ancestry communities on strategies to strengthen health and reduce the spread of COVID-19 within our community. Brother Andre is here. He's a good friend, and I've been privileged to work with COVID-19 Black, and we can't wait to showcase COVID-19 Black story a little bit later this evening. But before we get started, it's important that we take a moment to thank the sponsors that made this evening possible. Hold your applause to the end, because there are lots and lots of them. To our supporters, Class 21, First Five, Param Leo Winery, and the Tenniskeda Family Foundation, our nonprofit sponsors, the County of Santa Clara, Gardner Family Health Services, Healthier Kids Foundation, and United Way Bay Area, our bronze sponsors, Applied Materials, Bloomberg, Heritage Bank, Kaiser Permanente, Santa Clara County Office of Education, Rich and Sally Slavin, Sutter Health, Palo Alto Medical Foundation, Tracy Toyota, and United Airlines. At the silver level, Ned and Jimmy Banholt, Destination Home, and Silver Lake. Our media sponsor, the Silicon Valley Business Journal. Our gold sponsors, Class 17, HP Inc., Silicon Valley Community Foundation, and Sobrato Philanthropies. And finally, our platinum sponsor, Becky Morgan of Class 6. Before we get going, a very special message came to us earlier this week, and I would like to read that message. A very special one indeed. The message came to us, and so it goes this way. The message says, to Suzanne and all senior fellows and friends, it is a deep privilege to send this message to you on this auspicious occasion. I have such vivid memories of the founding of this chapter. John W. Gardner, my mentor then, sent me to see Roger Hines, president of the Hewlett Foundation, to see if there might be a way, against all odds, to form a new ALF chapter in Silicon Valley. Roger listened and immediately acted with great boldness, pledging a lead gift of $250,000 to establish the chapter. He strongly suggested that I first find Anne DeBusk and ask her if she would be willing to undertake the task of being the founding executive director. Despite facing some real complications, Anne accepted and began immediately. The rest is history. I'm filled with gratitude to have been a part of this resulting movement. Congratulations to you all. Signed, Joseph Jaworski, founder, American Leadership Forum. What better way to start tonight that we're here gathered to celebrate as senior fellows, friends. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start off this evening with a trip down memory lane, a celebration of 35 years of ALF, 35 years of fellows class, 35 years of collaborations, 35 years of courageous conversations, of personal and professional transformations. Please, ladies and gentlemen, turn your attention to the screen and let's all enjoy the ALF story.
He's not coming up.
No, he's the second step.
All right, who's up next?
Art Tanaka, next.
Okay, boys, down.
Stretch.
Come on, Art, ready.
Takahara, baby, go.
You grab this extension, I'll get him behind.
Tough one, boy.
I look that heavy.
It really started in a shoebox in my study. There was nothing in place. We had very limited resources. When I went out to talk to executives and leaders in all sectors about ALF, they said, well, it sounds like ALF is just what the Valley needs. And some of them would say, I'll give you about a 10% chance of pulling it off. You know, people are just too busy and they're not going to give money to a new organization. So that 10% got me very focused.
It's kind of incredible that Anne shows up, DeBusk, and asks a bunch of people to give up their time for something that's not easy to define in the beginning and join this class and start this thing. And Class 1 did that. They took a leap of faith and they decided to participate. I think every one of us that has participated since then owes them an incredible debt of gratitude.
As individuals, we are different and we are better as a result of our ALF experience. As human beings, as members of our families and our communities, and in our work. As classmates, we are in a different and better relationship as a result of our ALF experience. And these deep relationships are one of the threads that holds the fabric of Silicon Valley together. At ALF, we have incubated initiatives that continue to grow and expand. The Entrepreneurs Foundation, Encore Fellows, First Act, to Reviving California, to Safer San Jose. During the next 25 years, this impact will be the foundation on which to build ALF's future. This year, ALF will graduate twice as many senior fellows as we have in the past, allowing us to have even greater impact and to create a future distinct and even better than the past.
If there was ever a time for ALF deep listening and dialogue, it is right now. We have an incredible opportunity to leverage our shared experience in ALF and our leadership stance to change systems for the better. Systems that perpetuate a bias, that prevent access, whether on purpose or because they're stuck. Access to greatness, access to opportunity, and access to that thriving and inclusive Silicon Valley. It's our job to question, and it's our opportunity right now to act.
And now, please welcome to the stage for a special presentation, current and former ALF CEOs, Ann Skeet, Chris Block, and Suzanne St. John Crane.
I love these two. Hi. How's the party so far? So it's an absolute pleasure to be up here with you two. I think it's pretty special that there's been 4 CEOs of ALF in 35 years, and we're all friends, right? It's been a pretty interesting job that we've shared that requires a unique set of skills in service to a unique legacy. And our founder, Ann DeBusk, really set the bar and the standard for both of those.
You know, it really is a unique job. I mean, getting people together for a conversation. What could go wrong? But Ann was just the unique person to set the standard and shape the job in the way that the rest of us have done it. I think probably the best way to capture what's challenging and interesting about the job is, of course, to tell a story. And because I'm in class 10, the best class, I'm going to tell a class 10 story. So we're at our Taking Stock retreat. You guys remember Taking Stock, right? It sort of follows halfway through the program. And we all get together at Pajaro Dunes. We're in a home that a senior fellow has lent to us for the weekend. And Ann shows up and says to us as we gather, "Oh, I kind of want to go to this birthday party. And would it be okay with you if I took off and went to Becky Morgan's 60th birthday party?" And it turns out one of our classmates, Connie Martinez, she wanted to go too because she worked with Becky. And of course we said, because we're classmates, you know, of course, go ahead, have a great time. And so the plan was that Connie and Ann would go and attend the party and come back the next morning. And they did that. And we had a wonderful evening. We made a meal together and we really enjoyed our time together. And then we decided to prank Ann. And so with Connie's help, I would note, we knew when Ann was coming back the next morning, and we all decided to hide. And so when Ann returned to the house, it was empty. And the only person there to greet her was Mary Ann Hayward, since deceased, but a beloved staff member of ALF, and a member of Class 10, and a dear, dear friend of Ann's. And Mary Ann, in the best deadpan possible, said, I don't know what happened. I guess they were all upset that you went to the party, and they decided to go home. And so we stayed in hiding for just a little bit and watched Ann stew and sort of try and sort it out. But it was only a very little bit. And then we emerged, and of course, the relief on her face was priceless.
And she never left again. For real, right? I mean, Ann DeBusk has been a stalwart supporter and champion of this organization for 3.5 decades, which is pretty special, Chris.
You know, when I was the CEO, I would often go to Stanford and walk around the campus with Ann. And I would say sometimes I went because I called Ann and asked if I could spend some time with her. And there were other times when I was definitely summoned.
Oh, I know.
And those are the times when I really learned the most. And it was during one of those times that Ann talked about the shoebox with the index cards. And as I was sitting here today, I thought, wow, we've come a long way from that shoebox, right? The good news is, no, we haven't. Whether it's a shoebox and index cards or an app where we push a button, right? What hasn't changed is the legacy that Ann gives each of us. And the legacy, which is the foundation of ALF, is the idea, the fundamental belief, that if people are in trusting relationships with one another, they will take risks and change the world. And that's what we do at ALF every day, and that's what we do because of the legacy of Ann DeBusk. Amen.
So tonight, ALF is thrilled to announce an opportunity that both helps sustain ALF and honor the legacy of the woman that started it all.
On this, our 35th year, we're proud to launch the Ann DeBusk Legacy Circle, a planned giving program. And I'd like to invite up to say a few words the lady of the hour, our founder, our friend, Ann DeBusk.
My goodness. This is very, very special to me, and it's extremely special to have all of you here on our 35th year. So I really am very, very happy and honored to be part of this organization. Thank you, dear friends, for your kind words. And I still remember coming back to the empty place. I think they did that also for the graduation. And you guys were all out, and someone, I think it was Gloria Duffy, who was in, who said, don't know where they are. So they were rascals, but a great group. I just want to say what a joy it is to be here and to see ALF thriving, thanks to our wonderful leaders. And they really provided the leadership and the impetus. But I also want to say that in these 35 years, so many senior fellows have said to me, ALF changed my life. And that is really profound, because I think a lot of us in different ways feel that, and it certainly has changed my life. And when Joe Jaworski asked me to start ALF chapter in Silicon Valley, I knew it would be daunting, but especially the recession too. But no one builds an organization alone. We all build it together. So I began inviting people over to my house, and we went over possible names for who should be on the board, who should be chair, and we really were starting from scratch. Fortunately, we were able to put a very strong board together, and Paul Freeman, CEO of Syntex, agreed to be chair. We kept, this is the story of the shoebox, we kept the names of all these candidates in a shoebox in my study. So out of a shoebox, ALF rose. And I want to tell you that the impact on individuals and on organizations, as diverse as can be, continues to this day, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And I think it'll continue for many years to come.
Friends, I am going to be up here just for a few short moments before we start our festivities. And I'd like to have your attention to thank a few folks, because I'm going to need your help. I want to recognize and thank a few groups in the house that made tonight possible. So the Sharon Heights staff, the servers, the farmers, everyone that participated in making your meal tonight, and for the hospitality. Thank you, Sharon Heights. I also want to recognize members of our 35th anniversary committee. You all helped make this evening a success. Give them a round of applause, please. Thank you, thank you. I'd like to ask, please, ALF board members and advisory council members to please stand up so we can recognize you. Come on now, come on. These are my partners in crime, our champions. Thank you so much. And then finally, a huge thanks to the dream team staff of ALF Silicon Valley. Jenny, Akemi, Sumaya, Allison, Mark, and Richard. I'm so blessed to work alongside you all. They're pretty awesome. They're pretty awesome. Friends, I want to talk to you just for a moment about our legacy. 35 years. 835 senior fellows graduated. $3.5 million in tuition assistance granted. Immeasurable numbers of personal and professional awakenings. Thousands of collaborations between change makers who were previously strangers. When I see that the Chief Equality Officer of Salesforce joined the Life Moves board, I know that's because the Life Moves CEO, Aubrey Merriman, was with Lori Castillo-Martinez as ALF classmates. When I see that a Shark Tank winner, for real, class 42, when I see that a Shark Tank winner became a partner at SV2, I know it's because SV2 CEO David Onek and Tony Lamb were ALF classmates. When I learn about the local vaccine equity policy being available as a model to other counties in California, I know it's because Senior Fellows Nora Campos, Dolores Alvarado, Raimundo Espinoza worked with ALF affinity group La Comunidad to exercise collective power, and in partnership with Senior Fellows Senator Dave Cortese and County Supervisor Cindy Chavez, who's here tonight, helped change that state policy. What I'm trying to say here, friends, is, God, you're hard to keep up with. I mean, nearly 70% of senior fellows in our last 5 classes have reported collaborations with their classmates. That's 75 people, influential leaders who were basically strangers before ALF and now have a fast-forward card with each other and are leveraging the network and their new leadership practices to do something good in their communities. So how do you quantify the ripple effect on a community? When leaders develop deep purpose, they develop empathy, they deeply understand the concepts of othering and belonging, and they start making decisions differently. ALF's real work, my friends, is putting the right people in right relationship with themselves and others so that they can do right by our communities. Over the last 12 months, since we saw each other last, ALF has held 200 senior fellow convenings. from affinity group gatherings to racial caucus meetings to retreats and speaker events. ALF Insights, led by Jenny Nicholas, continues to help cities, CBOs, and teams move through the toughest conversations to real solutions. Hey, and we graduated that class 42. And last week, our new facilitation team of Akemi Flynn and Dr. Byron Burkhalter held space for 28 new fellows, our biggest class ever, to tell their 7-minute stories. Welcome, class 43. 2 of those fellows pulled me aside during the day and said, God, Suzanne, I wish everybody could do this. Can you imagine what a better world we'd be living in? Yes. Yes, I can. In fact, that's what motivates me to scale ALF. Because if we're to heal this country, we must practice curiosity. We have to have the strength to listen and the courage to change, so that we do radical things like center our unhoused neighbors when we make decisions about homelessness, so that no neighborhood is disproportionately suffering from things like asthma and cancers and has undrinkable water because profits mattered more than people. So that a 16-year-old African-American boy doesn't get shot for ringing the wrong doorbell. Every day in this country is a wake-up call to start seeing each other as valued human beings. An opportunity to make different choices about how we're going to lead, every single one of us. When we summon the courage to hold up a mirror and decide that love has got to come first, every single time, that we are our neighbor's keeper, we can create a future distinct from the past, but it's going to take every single one of us. Every single one of us. I can tell you that ALF, we are committed to being a part of that healing. On March 1st, the ALF Silicon Valley Board of Directors passed a bold new 3-year strategic plan. First, we're going to broaden the circle of fellows by creating a deeper pipeline in both San Francisco and the East Bay, building to the possibility of launching a 2nd annual fellows class in the next few years. Second, we will add new pathways for senior fellows to connect and activate, because you all have proven that that's where the magic happens. And our goal is that at least 75% of our network is connected into one or more ALF communities, where they can learn together, share resources, and collaborate on social and civic good efforts. And one of those activation opportunities, my friends, is writing a book together. I'm thrilled to announce A Guide to Human Citizenship, The ALF Way. Will feature a collection of 8 tenets that we have observed in great humans over our 35-year history, and the stories of over a dozen senior fellows who have lived them. Contributing authors include Mariko Sayak, Keith Kroc, Min Lei, Susan Ellenberg, and a dozen others. And our third and final pillar of this strategic plan is about strengthening and scaling the ALF movement. We look to expand ALF Insights facilitation work to help people have those difficult conversations and get to progress. We launched the ALF Way book and brand as a call to action for how we must lead in these extraordinary times. And this year, ALF Silicon Valley became the headquarters for ALF National. We've created a bold strategic vision for ALF National and assembled a council of advisors that does indeed include our founder, Joseph Jaworski. We're ready to move forward on our first big initiative, connecting and activating 5,000 senior fellows in 46 states for the first time in this organization's 40-year history. Imagine the collaboration possibilities. So the ALF legacy story, my friends, is still being written. Yeah, by you and I, by our intentions and our actions. While on a call last week, literally a pep talk from Joseph Jaworski, he reminded me of this quote. Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Begin it. Because boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. What will your legacy be? In these trying times that scream for our attention and our action. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Let's get to work, friends. Thank you.
And now, to begin our Exemplary Leadership Awards ceremony, please welcome to the stage ALF Board Chair from Class 31. Please welcome John Hicks.
So it is an absolute honor to be here today to present the Greg Ranstrom Network Leadership Award. Greg Ranstrom, our beloved Fellows Program Facilitator for over 15 years, was an adamant believer in joining and strengthening leaders from different walks of life, sectors, and belief systems so that they would build relationships and ultimately new and greater possibilities for our community. Now, Suzanne gave me this opportunity to speak a little bit about an experience that I've had with Greg, so thank you. I'm going to deviate from the script just a little bit. But what I want to share with you is the learning that I got from Greg, and I think many of you might have had something similar. It's the elegance of silence. And so there's lots of different types of leaders. There are leaders who are out in front. There are leaders who are in the back watching their team go. And then there are those leaders who lightly nudge you one way or another. Maybe it's with a question. Maybe it's with a soft introduction to somebody that you may not know. And maybe it's just with that calm presence that is their ability to sit with you and listen as you share your passions, desires, and fears about what's next. For me, Greg was all of those things. He was the leader who put you next to someone so that you could have a conversation and discover something that you wouldn't have known before. He was that gentle voice in the background saying, hey, ask another question. Or more likely to me, you should ask less questions. He was that present person who could know everyone in the room, but at the same time when you were talking, you were the only person in the room. For me, this leadership award is all about Greg. For me, that diversity in leadership, to know what kind of leader you need to be for the moment is what this award is about. And so it is a great honor and pleasure for me to be able to give this award to a group of folks who were the right leaders in the right moment for the right time. So tonight, on behalf of the ALF Network Engagement Committee, led by my brother and fellow board member, David Epps, we celebrate COVID Black, a consortium of senior fellows and community influencers who came together during this pandemic to meet the critical health needs of the African American community. ALF Senior Fellow Andre Chapman. He is not only the CEO Emeritus of both Unity Care and the Black Leadership Kitchen Cabinet, but he understood the disproportionate impact COVID-19 was having on the Black community. He thought about confusion and misunderstanding, and thank you, Akemi, because I felt like people couldn't hear me before. He thought about confusion and misunderstanding about the disease within his own family. He recognized the lack of trustworthiness in the Black community with communications and education about COVID-19, and he felt compelled to make action. The COVID-19 Black Network is a consortium of public health departments, philanthropic investors, including, and I'm sure someone here is from these places, Silicon Valley Community Foundation, the Tipping Point Community, healthcare organizations, and community service hubs like AXA. All of these organizations worked together collaboratively to serve a population highly impacted by this disease. It's an incredible example of senior leadership, the kind of senior leadership that Greg embodied. For these senior leaders to lean in and co-create an extraordinary solution for a global pandemic that was unseen before. And so now, enough from me. Please turn your attention to the screen.
I created COVID-19 Black because when the pandemic hit, what we started seeing in the community was there was a lack of understanding of the impact of COVID. At the same time, it was ravaging the African American community. African Americans make up about 13% of the general population, but what we saw across the country was that 40, 50, 60, 70% of folks that were hospitalized and dying were African Americans. And so what I decided to do was bring folks together and think about what could we do differently to ensure the information that was being communicated from our public health leaders, from our county systems, from our governments, our cities, not only was it consistent and clear, but was culturally relevant for our community.
The reason that Silicon Valley Community Foundation immediately wanted to support the efforts of COVID-19 Black, we recognized the need to center equity, racial, and social justice in all that we do. So when Andre came to me and said, hey, we really need to think about how we're getting information to the Black community, it was easy for us to get behind it.
We built a network of over 400 Black-led organizations in the Bay Area where you can go onto the website, you can type in what you're looking for, and it will bring up organizations that offered those services. We brought together every county in the Bay Area, leaders in those counties.
They found mechanisms and people who could carry the messages that were trusted, outlets that were trusted, and they provided real information about not just how you as an individual needed to act for yourself and the safety of you and your family, but how you needed to act for the collective good, the good of the entire community.
Our first town hall event, we had over 1,000 people in attendance. It was such a tremendous event because you had, for the first time, leaders across all the different Bay Area counties coming together, all focused very intentionally on how do we deliver accurate information to our community on where they can go get supports, go get PPEs, answer questions about the myths and the facts about COVID, and be in a place where they can feel connected to others in the community that may be going through those same struggles.
The core of ALF is about the networks. It's about the relationships, and it's about leaning in to those networks and leaning in to each other and our leadership capabilities that each one of us has. When COVID-19 Black launched, so many of the leaders who stepped up, we were all ALFers. It was great. It was another mobilizing force that I think really got behind the power of what was being created by COVID-19 Black.
I am extremely grateful to be representing the community for this award, the work that we've done in this community and bringing folks together and building this network. So I am tremendously honored and humbled to be acknowledged and having the opportunity to just share the work that we've done in COVID-19 Black. Thank you.
Without further ado, it is my absolute honor to introduce Andre.
Is Chike, Brother Chike here? Brother Chike, come up here. Come on up here, Brother Chike, and I'm looking for Pastor Jason. Pastor Jason? Okay, all right. Well, first order of business, Warriors 53, Sacramento 41. Hey! Well, let me first say I am extremely humbled and honored to accept this Greg Ranstrom Award. I'm going to show you something because Greg was very special to me in our class, the best class, 23. Folks remember Gold Lake, and so I don't know if folks can see this, but this was a momentum from the lake. And when I was coming off the hike, I picked this up. And my last day there, Greg had a pen, he had a marker, and I said, Greg, I want to write something to remember this moment. I'm going to read you what it says. It says, ALF, July 17th, 2011, Sierra Wilderness trip. Imagine the possibilities. And the main thing it says, no self-imposed limits. And that was Greg. Greg was all about a sense of belonging. And so this is a reminder for me of this journey. And first I want to begin by thanking my mom, my lovely wife, my son, my board member, Carl Agers, Chris, my board member, Ray, ex-board member, Ray. I'm no longer CEO of Unity Care, but my buddy, Ray, and Maria, and the committee that nominated me for this, Michelle Liu and the nomination committee, and of course, Suzanne, the words that she shared with me, shared up here was just, it was very touching. You know, this recognition is a testament of the collective dedication of this community. And those change makers, and you saw them on the screen, those change makers that many here tonight, that when I made that phone call to partner, they said yes. They jumped in and said, we're going to provide resources. We're going to bring together our networks. Many of you here, the foundations, the corporate partners, the community organizations, my good friend Chike, who was the backbone behind many of our town hall events. It was an incredible opportunity to come together prior to anything we really could have expected about this pandemic. This was 3.5 years, this was 3 years and 1 month ago. I'm grateful for the COVID-19 Black team, the staff that really were in the trenches every day with this crazy idea that Andre had that we need to do something to get ahead of this, because if we didn't, this was going to devastate the Black community. So who would have imagined a dream at 4 a.m. in the morning 3.5 years ago returned to this initiative that started right here, but spread across the Bay Area. Then it spread across California. Then it spread across the nation. I had calls from HBCUs, from universities across the country, from NAACP, from NFLs. I mean, everyone wanted to leverage our platform. So if you haven't seen COVID19black.org, please go to it and look at the resource and the breadth of information that's on that website. So this story is an example of during times of chaos and crisis, we need to all pause, listen to that inner voice, pay attention to that nudge, something that's in your spirit, water it, put your hands in the soil, and do something about it, especially right now, when we're witnessing right in front of our eyes the intentional suppression and manufactured fear of the Black body, the Black voice. The voting, the sparse Black history that's in our school systems that is being taken out. So think about that, ALF. Think about what we're facing right now in a society. And Chris said it earlier. It's really the collective of us doing something about it. So as many of you know, and many of you tonight that have come up to me and said, Andre, how's Unity Care? You may not know this, but last year I transitioned out of the CEO role. after nearly 30 years in an organization I founded, I handed the keys to a phenomenal leader, Sheila Mitchell, who was my ALF classmate, class 23, the best class. She used to be the chief of probation here in Santa Clara County, phenomenal leader. I then took a sabbatical. I traveled to Israel, to the Holy Land. I traveled to DC. I traveled to Virginia to find my roots from slavery to present, really thinking about that next hill that I'm going to climb. What is God calling me to do? And so I want you guys to all think about this for a second. If you have kids today that are over 18 years old that you still support financially, that you still support with psychological safety, please raise your hand. So think about that. Now imagine this, and maybe some of you want to do this. When you get home, I want you to call them and say, today is the last time I'm going to ever talk to you. Don't ever call me again. No more financial support. No more helping with their rents. No helping with that phone call on a Sunday when they want to come over and wash their clothes. Think about that. Where would they be? Well, that's what happens, unfortunately, to kids in foster care every day in our communities. Think about that for a second. And we know homelessness and hopelessness is the mother of crime. Too many black and brown kids leave foster care, homelessness, prison system, incarcerated, pregnant, on drugs. The same old story. So I know that the folks in this room, we have the ability to do something different. We have the ability to join in this effort to collectively do something different. And I know in Santa Clara County, we're doing some very unique things to try to address this issue. So I'm confident together that we can eradicate homelessness for kids that age out of foster care. No young person leaving foster care should end up on the streets. No young person. So it is my goal in my new journey, the new hill I'm going to climb, is that no young person leaves foster care without a safe place to call home, somebody to love, and a hope for a brighter future. And I'm hoping that everybody in this room will commit to making that a reality, because one kid on the streets is one kid too many. Thank you. You want to say something?
To present our first John W. Gardner Award, please welcome from the Class 24 and Education Class 26, Mary Maven.
I have the pleasure and honor of introducing Kathleen King, my friend, and I also serve as the chair of the Healthier Kids Foundation Board. Who is Kathleen King? Well, she is not a person to enter a room quietly. No, she comes in with that high-stepping spirit, those bright color trademark clothes of hers, and her joyful noisiness. And Kathleen King, at a meeting, is not someone to be reserved, reticent about giving her opinion. No, Kathleen speaks up, she speaks out, you know exactly where she stands. And Kathleen King is not someone you say no to very easily. Because when you say no, Kathleen thinks, maybe, and she'll be right back at you to try to close that deal. So, where did she get all this boldness and this courage? Well, she grew up locally in San Jose in a big family of 7, and there were 5 children. And according to her sister Margie, Kathleen was taking care of the younger siblings. And according to her sister Margie, and I'm sorry, I'm going to throw you under the bus there, Margie, Margie said Kathleen was always bossing all the kids around, and she was the one distributing the Cheerios. So, you know, little Kathleen, bossing her siblings around, being the distributor of Cheerios, that was her first taste of real power. And these attributes served her very well in her first career at Applied Materials, where she rose as a star. And it was there that she met her own bright light, her own star, her soon-to-be husband, the very, very wonderful Mark Stark. So they got married, they had children, and unfortunately, one of her sons was born with a rare genetic syndrome. He was disabled. And as was expected, Mark and Kathleen changed their life to help their son seek medical treatments, access health care. And for many people, raising a son with a disability would make them maybe withdraw a little bit, maybe be more inward focused. But not Kathleen. She took what was a deeply personal experience and shared it publicly so that others could learn. She knew that however much she and Mark struggled to get the right health care for her son, that there were families living in under-resourced, underserved communities that were struggling longer and harder to get basic health care for their children. And Kathleen took a deeply personal experience and transformed it to her life mission, and thus the genesis of the Healthier Kids Foundation, where Kathleen has served as CEO for the last 15 years. And there are two sayings at the Healthier Kids Foundation that Kathleen generously attributes to her staff, but I know the words flow right from her heart. The first is, we never give up on a child. And the second is, it should never hurt to be a child. So Kathleen, tonight, we are so grateful to you for never giving up on the children of Santa Clara County. And Kathleen, we are so grateful to you on behalf of the thousands and thousands of children who, because of you and the Healthier Kids Foundation, are no longer hurting. So tonight is about you, Kathleen, and with this, we're now going to see a short video of your life.
What I think leaders need more than anything is that we can all get along better if we understand where we each come from and we understand a little more about our background to help build that bridge between people, especially of different culture. I do think as a leader, a lot of it is figuring out what to choose to learn, what adds to your abilities, and finding great teachers to teach you, mentors, people that you know do a great job in what they're leading in, and trying to learn from them. The values I think that have shaped me the most from growing up is respect. Respect those around you, respect family, respect the world, and understand how the world relates. Humor is very important. A high level of curiosity is a really important one too, because it just leads you to ask the right questions and potentially leads you to make change. And maybe the fourth one is passion. You know, if you're gonna do something, do it passionately. You know, you can't be a good leader if you're not just totally passionate about what you do. When I make a decision, a lot of the thought that goes into that is my own historical experience. I have 5 children, and my youngest has been through a couple bone marrow transplants and 38 surgeries, and wonderful young man. But it really led where I went, because I came out of for-profit, I came out of high-tech, applied materials, and then I decided I wanted to give back. And so So much of what I've done in nonprofits is what would be best for the children in our county. And I like to say they're 22% of our population, but they're 100% of our future. I would not be doing what I'm doing without ALF. My class was looking at health, and the issue of children not having health insurance in this county was just mind-boggling. And that's why I ended up going on this board that worked on getting all children health care. And that is the reason 500,000 services have helped children in this area, totally affected by ALF. So I am so grateful to get this award, especially with my little brother, Chris Wilder. And I'm thankful my family's here, and I'm thankful that my family of class 17, the good-looking class, is here. So I want to thank everybody.
And now, the one and only Kathleen King. So I need Laura Clandaniel to come up here and have me do a little mindfulness, you know. Smell the roses, blow out the candle. Whew. Thank you, Mary, and thank you everyone here. Dr. Liz Villardo and Linda Gold and Mary Maven nominated me. And it's, I remember when Erbelinda Sapien got the award, I was so jealous. It's not a trait I admire in myself, but I was extremely jealous. So I'm going to start with a famous line of my own. There is no place like family. So many in this room have become family to me. My mother, who raised 7 children, Mommy had 2 more than Mary knew about. That's okay. They're not here. So has no idea how many I've invited into our family. My little brother, Chris Wilder, do you know, somebody actually believed we were related, Chris and I, is one of my family, as well as my girlfriends that are here, Healthier Kids Board, staff, Becky and Jim Morgan, and my good-looking class 17, the best-looking class. ALF is like a family. Thank you for being here to help celebrate. I so appreciate it. I'd like to take a moment to introduce my children because I'm so proud of them. A wise man, my husband Mark, gave me this quote when Carl Gardino asked me for an original quote. Children will grow up to be you. Make sure you are proud of them when they do. Thank you, Mark. I love you. And maybe my children can just raise their hands. My oldest, Dr. Marie Stark Alcantara, her wonderful husband, Mike. Our daughter, Alyssa, is here in spirit. Nick, my son, who likes to take care of all of us, and his fiancée, Ashley, who ends up taking care of him. My son, Matt, another scientist in the family, and Robert, who is the glue that keeps us all together. I know. Go Warriors. You'll all make your father, Mark, and me proud. My wonderful husband, Mark, is also here. My super cool brother, Dan, is here. And my amazing, though not to appreciate it right now, sister Margie, that talks about Cheerio stories. And last but not least, my mother, Rita, who allows me to share her love with everyone. My wish for all children is that they could grow up in a family like the family I grew up in. When my father died, he left a letter for his 7 children and his wife. It said, I did have a great life, and I want to thank you for it. You were never the perfect children you thought you were, but you were always more special than you can ever imagine. Only your mother was more important.
And Margie stopped crying. That was the PS on the letter. About my mother, I was telling her about a situation that was not working out for me, and she said, Kathleen, if you set your mind to it, I know you will solve it. These words are so powerful now. Imagine what it's like when you're 7 or 10 or 17, what effect that has on you. How do we give each child in this county that same belief in themselves that I was given as a child? How do we give them what they deserve? The right to health, a good education, and happiness. Class 17 sent me on the path I have taken. Our class was focused on health. And I remember Randy Pond doing a report that said in the Bay Area, only 75% of children had health insurance. Now, I would like to say it the way Randy said it, but I have never put that many swear words in one sentence in my life, Randy. I wouldn't know how to do it. So, Randy, I'm glad to tell you 98% of children have coverage now. And Healthier Kids Foundation is set out to assist parents in understanding what their children are eligible for and how to advocate for the best care for their children. With over 530,000 services for children in the last decade, Healthier Kids Foundation has shown how important this work is to the health and education of children. Thank you to those in the room who have helped us along the way, including many staff members here and future staff members. I read a quote many years ago that I think encompasses my passion of the work we do. We must recognize that the welfare of all children is ultimately linked to the welfare of all other people's children. After all, when one of our children needs life-saving surgery, someone else's child will perform it. The good life for our own children can be secured only if a good life is also secured for all other people's children. So during the next 7 days, I give you 4 things I ask you to do. Spend time with your extended family. Wherever your special people are, spend time with them. Do something nice for a child. Read Applied Wisdom for the nonprofit sector. Because it's all about leadership and management, and I still work at it every day. And think about how you want to share your passion with others. ALF is here to help us with all of the above. Thank you, Suzanne, and your team, and thank you for all you do. Thank you.
To present our next John W. Gardner Award, please welcome to the stage an ALF Senior Fellow from Class 21, Sam Liccardo.
Well, good evening. It's a great honor to be with all of you to celebrate exemplary leadership. The etymology of the word to lead, I had to look this up. I don't know this, I had to look it up. It's an Old English word describing travel, loden, that carries a connotation of bringing others along for the journey. It's no coincidence that Chris Wilder is a member of Class 21, the greatest and fiercest ALF class in the history of the universe. Through many roles, Chris has been leading his whole life. Only the cast of fellow travelers has changed along his unique journey. As leader of several thrash and punk rock bands, including Sticky and MDC, Chris traveled the world in the 1980s and 90s. He's the only friend I have who has a discography on the internet, not just a LinkedIn page, a discography listing aliases, some of which I can't repeat in public, except for one, which I feel obligated to mention, Chrissy Pooh Wilder. I don't want to know how you got that nickname, Chris, but it's on the internet, so it has to be true. He didn't put his guitar down, but he did begin a career of nonprofit service that would span 3 decades, and we are so fortunate for that. After traveling through several nonprofits, he rose to executive roles with the Vanished Children's Alliance, then became CEO of City Year Silicon Valley, and finally in 2003, he took on the reins of the Valley Medical Center Foundation. Chris couldn't seem to keep a job. But at each stop along the journey, he grew each organization through an alternating combination of brilliance and hard work and lunacy, inspiring passionate teams that were happy to travel with him. The most important team, of course, was the two-person team that he and his wonderful, courageous, and brilliant wife, Kate, built together. Since she has an impressive career of her own in tech, the two of them became something of a new and improved version of a Silicon Valley power couple with zero pretense and better karaoke parties. Yes, thank you. Chris's success seems attributable to his chutzpah. There's nothing he won't do for a good cause. At one formal VMC Foundation dinner party, I see Leah Tennisketters here, I think it was when she was chair, he dared donors that if they gave, he'd jump into the backyard pool with his tuxedo on, and yes, he did it. Ignoring the pleas of his coworkers, he spent untold hours, I'm told possibly days, on the roof of his office during a stunt for another VMC fundraising campaign in 2018, telling the public via social media that I'm not coming down until we hit our goal. He was seen dressed up in large vegetable costumes. It all worked. It worked. He fundraised more than $90 million for the VMC Foundation during his time. Yes. And he even sacrificed his soul to politics. You could say that as a politician, recovering politician at least. He led an $840 million countywide ballot measure for healthcare facilities in 2008, Measure A. And in that effort, he was undoubtedly aided by my advice. I told Chris that there was no chance voters would support a tax increase in the middle of the Great Recession. Voters approved it with 78% approval. I'm not getting any consulting contracts. Chris's dalliance with politics would continue for another 8 years. He co-chaired another countywide campaign in 2012 for funding of county services and supported as treasurer the 2016 Affordable Housing Initiative, Measure A. Both were successful. He'll be joining a speaking tour soon with David Axelrod and Jim Carville, I'm sure. But when the pandemic hit, that's when Chris's fearlessness took over. He worked feverishly at all hours to gather millions of dollars and thousands of pounds of PPE to keep hospitals and clinics open through the very worst of the crisis. Again, Chris and his team pulled rabbits out of hats and PPE out of the air, helping to save many, many lives. Yes, thank you. The year of sleeplessness and heroism likely took its toll. As we all know, Chris suffered a massive stroke in March of 2021. And Chris's physical travel is limited today, but his journey is far from over. Chris spends many hours in intense therapy working to regain his motor skills. But fortunately, his tremendous superpower, his gift for inspiring others, often through laughter, has remained intact. As he put it at a gathering last year, I only planned to learn how to walk once in my life when I was a baby, but life has its own sense of humor. Kate's seemingly limitless strength and Chris's courage have together, in every report of victories and setbacks on Facebook or word of mouth or in conversations, continues to inspire us along his courageous journey. And so we are all blessed to count ourselves among Chris and Kate's fellow travelers. Let's watch a brief film about my friend Chris.
ALF, in so many ways, has helped me become a better leader and a better person, hopefully a better husband, and a lot of other things in my life. I like to think that I'm a good leader because I listen well and that I know when to step out of the way and let other people take the lead. And what I've tried to do my whole career is surround myself with the best people I can, not just staff, but volunteers and friends and people who can advise me, and then, again, when I can, step out of the way and let them take their ideas and move forward with them. ALF, in part, teaches that. The idea that you can't do it all yourself, and the organization that you lead, if you lead one, also can't do it all itself. So, help form networks, get out there, meet people, go to events, talk to people, especially people that you are inspired by. Those connections are so important. It helps create the network that helps make this valley grow and move. The values that are so important to me have always been the ones I learned early on in my career when I worked in hotels. Be nice to everyone, and if you do that, what you'll usually find is that people will be nice to you. Be ethical, make decisions based on the way you would want people to treat you, treat people that way, and try to go that extra mile. Do a little bit more for people than they might expect and that you might have ultimately or originally intended. And if you do that, you'll find that a lot of things that maybe are difficult, in the end they work out. When people think back on my career, I hope that they think back to a man who cared a lot about the people that he worked with and for, and tried to do his very best all the time to help. And I hope they look at the Sobrato Pavilion and they say, wow, that was a thing that Chris helped make happen by running that Measure A campaign all those years ago. But I also hope that they write a check every year to the VMC Foundation, and that they help make sure that organization stays strong and grows and is around to help out as our health and hospital system in this county continues to grow and serve more people. I am super grateful to have received the John Gardner Award. I know that I stand now with a huge long list of wonderful, brilliant leaders who have also received this award. I'm also proud to have received it the same night that my honorary big sister, Kathleen King, has received one. That means an awful lot to me. Kathleen has meant a lot to me my whole career. We're good friends. I just want to thank everyone who decided that I was worthy of this and that nominated me for it. And I hope that I can continue giving back to this valley and to ALF to make sure that I stay worthy of it.
Friends, Chris Wilder.
Thank you all for your patience. This is a risk I'm going to take. I'm going to try to thank a group of people. One is, I want to thank my family who came here tonight and is helping me feel good about being here. Thank you all. My wonderful family. I want to thank the members of Class XXI, right back there. My ALF class, many of whom flew in from all over the country to be here. Thank you all. And as you just heard, I suffered a stroke 2 years and a couple of months ago, which changed my life dramatically. It hastened my retirement. I basically woke up in the hospital and found out that my job was now being done by Mr. Michael Elliott, who's at that table over there, who is a young man who I got to work with for a long time, who joined us at the VMC Foundation, along with the incredible staff, many of whom are also at that table over there. Some of the most wonderful, hardworking people I've ever gotten to work with. Thank you all VMC Foundation staff for being here to honor me. And I want to thank my therapy team, who I really feel like is led by my wonderful wife, Kate, who helped me get up here. And I want to say, ALF, as I mentioned in the video, really did change my life. I learned so much, and I grew so much. And I think I can speak for everyone in class 21 that we all learned so much and did so much. We learned so much from each other. And one of us actually rose to become the elected mayor of the 10th largest city in the country, who you just heard from, Mr. Sam Liccardo. Thank you, Sam, for introducing me. It just gives me great, great pride to be associated with all these incredible people. Thank you to my ALF affinity class, who was led by my friend Shiloh, who is here tonight. Shiloh Ballard, thank you for starting our affinity class. I think most of our members are here, and so many friends and people who I haven't seen in a long time, but it's been an honor tonight to be with you all, and thank you for taking the time to be here this evening and to honor me and my honorary big sister, Kathleen King. This is such a great, great honor for me, and I know it is for her as well. I'm going to get off the stage before I fall down.
Down. My name is Cindy Chavez, and I'm from class 12. And I couldn't remember if our class name was Caribou or Wildebeest, but it was something wild. And so, and I'm here with Otto Lee from class 24. Class 24. And we're here to present commendations to each of the people who were honored tonight. And the reason for that is this: our ability to respond, whether it's to COVID-19 or any of the other issues, foster youth, homelessness, every single one of them is rooted in our ability to be able to work together cross-sectorally. That's what ALF does, and that's why we're here, because what ALF is honoring internally has really changed the future of the Valley. So I want to ask Andre, and if Kathleen could come up, and then we'll go down and take a picture with Chris. But this is really, on behalf of the County of Santa Clara, we're adding our expression of honor, because what you've done internally and what you've done externally has literally saved lives in our community. So please come up, and then we'll get with you.
Thank you, one and all, and let's have another big round of applause for all our awardees. The night is fast spent, and I know some of you and all of us would love to go home. So I'm just here basically to, once again, on behalf of all the amazing staff and planning teams that have put this together, just to thank you all for gracing us with your presence. The powerful speech by our fearless leader, Suzanne, is something that needs to keep ringing in our heads and our ears and our hearts. There's an African philosophy that captures all of this. We call it the Ubuntu philosophy. It is a philosophy that's rooted in the fact that your humanity is intricately tied to my humanity. We say in an Ubuntu philosophy that I am because you are. And since you are, therefore I am. And so let's carry that forth, because that's what ALF is all about. And as we wind down our show and our event for this evening, we'd like to say thank you once again to our amazing sponsors who have helped make tonight possible. Special thanks to Senior Fellows Steve Smith, Tom Giles, Rosalind Huey for contributing wine to this evening's festivities. I knew that was going to get a huge round of applause. Thank you to our man on the street interviewer, Sal. Where is Sal? Thank you, Sal. And the God voice, Mr. Sean O'Kane. Sean, please, yes. So, thank you. It's been an honor for me to have shared this night with you. Once again, my name is Chike Nwoffiah, class 21, the best class. Have a good night. God bless. Be safe. Thank you.